Welcome back to another episode of the Pickle Pulse. You've got your host, Brian Green, the legendary Jimmy Brown, and
good to see you, BG.
You as well, buddy.
Yeah, good to be here. This setup is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Great job, brother.
Thanks,
dude.
And I did it all myself, which means it's not really that good.
Oh, listen, no, it's great. No, I love it. No, listen, it's definitely splendid.
Yes.
Splendid.
And then finally, we have local legend, radio host, sports all-star Danny Rouhier in the house.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, appreciate you being here, dude.
It is my first time in your basement, so thank you for having me down here. This is neat.
That's good. If it wasn't, I'd be a little upset.
Officially first time in your basement.
He's sneaking around. So Danny, this is a pickleball podcast, so we're going to get really
Wait,
geeky.
what?
Yes, exactly. He's out now. All of a sudden, it's over. So I'm going to get really geeky, but I always like to ask guys, like, how did you find pickleball? Like, what intrigued you about it?
Yeah, so it's a lot about me here, so buckle up.
Let's go.
So, pandemic like everyone else, I'm bored to tears, trying to figure out something to do. And I remember it's like early 21, went with a buddy to a place called Gibson Island, which is like this very, thing I'd never really heard of just because I'm not wealthy like he is. And we went over there and he's like, we're going to play pickle later. And I'm like, we're getting in a rundown? Like, what are you talking about? Like, our wives are going to do this too? Like we're going to, work on like one pump fake and like try to tag someone. I was like, totally, let's play. What the hell game are you talking about? And he had these like piece of crap wood paddles. We played on a tennis court. And as soon as I started, I go, I do this now. Like, this is it. Like, even if it was the most half-assed version of the game, I was like, I love it. Because my background, I played college baseball decades ago.
Okay.
Right? And I've had a few seminal moments in my life, and I mean this in terms of things that I've been interested in, where when I was a little kid, my dad put a ball on the tee, and I smacked it, and I said, I do this now.
Yeah.
Like, I fell in love. Years later, when my career was done, took me forever, like, wandering around, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Happened to get on stage once, tell jokes, got a few laughs. I said, I do this now. Mm-hmm. And I had that same kind of lightning bolt moment with pickleball.
That's
honestly,
amazing.
like in 2021, where I'm trying to scratch that itch, right? You can never replicate playing D1 sports and a competitive level and all the prep and stuff that goes into it. But I'm always on Operation Less Fat, always trying to find something that I can't just go jogging. Like, I'm jealous of the people that can do that. I can't do that crap. So I found this kind of like semi-competitive way to run around, and there's skill involved, and I was pretty decent right away, which helped. So I'm beating up on all the dads and things like that. And then I finally find some guys like this that are like better than me. And it's so motivating to try to get on that level and not like ruin pickleball for everybody when there's a group of four. And I'm like, who's the worst player? It's this guy. Whoopsie daisy. Like, trying not to screw everybody is like, I love that. I love improving. I love getting better. I love those tangible things where last week I couldn't make that shot, but this week I can. Like, that is a drug to me.
Dude, and I get it because I started the same way, wood paddle, up here on my courts because they built the courts. But then I reached out to Tom Fortier. He's the local Northern Virginia ambassador. Tom is, I don't know, 65, 70,
Right.
somewhere in there.
Looks like he's about 50, though.
Yeah,
Amazing.
well, long story short is I show up and I'm like, this old guy is the ambassador. I said, let's play singles, Tom. Let's play singles and see how you do. Because I thought I was going to whip him. And literally he beats me like 11-3. And I'm a young man running around. And I go, what is up with this pickleball thing where this old guy can whip me?
That's right.
And then I got to get better.
Well, did you know that Jimmy's 64? Along the same lines? And I was like, I found that out, and I was humbled.
You might be giving him a couple there.
I was humiliated.
No doubt.
So we play with another baseball player, a guy named Eli Powell.
Oh, I didn't know how to play baseball.
Oh, you can't tell from those thighs?
That's
Good
true.
Lord.
That's true. That's true.
But I feel like it really transfers over well. What other sports do you think would transfer over well to pickleball? I mean, obviously tennis,
Racket
racquetball,
sports,
racket
obviously.
sports, yeah.
So I was actually really good at ping pong when I was a kid.
Okay.
It's not a big deal. I'm not bragging about being the Chesterbrook Swim and Tennis Club ping pong champion. I'm just telling you that it happened. It did happen. And just that. So some of my shots instinctively don't look like pickleball shots. It's just a response to fending off a slam or something. You know what I mean? It looks more ping ponging than it does pickleball probably at times. And it's probably something I need to work on to get better at. But there was a translation there that kind of made sense. Basketball, certainly. Being able to shuffle, go quick, start, stop, forward, back. Now, my feet are made of lead. I'm wearing lead underpants these days with my giant tank ass. But like in the day when I was athletic, that would have helped me an awful lot. But those are the ones that come to mind primarily. Baseball, you're 100% right. That sort of, pre-pitch engagement.
Yeah, the hand-eye coordination that comes with hitting.
That part of it, certainly. But like it's the underrated part. If you go to a major league game and instead of watching the pitcher and following the ball, if you look at the infielders, right, they all do the same creep prep step. That's right. Right, where you're basically activating your muscles so that the moment the ball crosses the plate, you are at your most cat-like and ready. And that's a similar feeling to when you're on the defensive, you hit something up in the air, and his eyes get bigger than saucers, and you're going, here we go. Like, which way am I going to go?
Out of bounds. That's right. That's right.
That's right. Get ready to tag them.
Psychological. But it's that feeling, right? So I think baseball absolutely translates well.
I heard a stat. Don't ask me where, and don't fact check me, but I think it's pretty close. In that, the hand-eye coordination with pickleball is like hitting a 130, 140 mile an hour fastball at times because of how fast the paddle is going and how close you are together. Well, this stat was also with the new gearbox paddle. Oh. So how geeky are you? Are you like way into the paddles at this point, Danny?
So it is intimidating when you first start, right? Where I'm like, okay, I know that this piece of wood or this, $19 paddle I got for Christmas in, December of 2021, I know that it's not great. So I'll go to, I don't know what I don't know. So I'll go to Dick's Sporting Goods, and there's just a wall, and it's like the Thundercracker, the Fire Lightning Ace, the Nuclear Explosion. I'm like, which one of these is good? Well, that one's more expensive, and I have no idea. You don't know where to start.
Yep.
So I still don't have a great feel for what's good. I figured out that this dude named, what is it? Is it Bean Jones? Ben Johns is excellent, and he's got a paddle, so I went and got that one. Turns out it's the same one that a lot of guys have. So. Yep. I love that part of baseball, for example, is the gear and the some of the different technology and the bat evolution. Just as a quick side, has gone in two like completely different directions. Where it's this one piece thing that's going to last for longer. Then there's this two connected pieces that have a little bit more of a loose handle and like a little bit more trampoline effect on the ball, but it's going to not last as long. But all these different things, the gear in sports, it's not getting cheaper, but it is getting more advanced. It's such a competitive marketplace.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. When do you think that the gear, and you've played pickleball now, do you think you guys that the gear is getting too much? I know you've talked about this before, but where does it stop? When does the evolution stop? Like baseball, the gears gets better. Where do you think it's going to stop? Is it going to be a couple of years from now? What do you think happens?
Do you ever see the movie Tin Cup?
Oh, yeah.
But it's Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner playing golf. Right?
Great movie.
Okay. So a good flick. But he's a golf pro at some like podunk place in the middle of nowhere in Texas. And Rene Russo, the character that he meets and ends up there, it's a romantic comedy or whatever, but she shows up with like 9,000 pieces of fix your swing gear.
Right, of course.
We're going there.
Right.
No, where there's like a little thing dangling from her face to make sure that your head doesn't move, this thing to keep your arm in a splint, all this other kind of stuff. I think eventually you'll see some of that kind of crap. Right. And then there'll be this revert back to, it's just a dude in a paddle.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
And you could certainly make them better. I mean, like, again, those kind of mid-tier to lower level paddles that we all kind of start with.
Right.
Where it's like you'll hit one just off the sweet spot and it's like you never hit it at all.
Right.
You're going, okay, we could do better than that.
Right.
Then there's that point of, this is probably too far, where you mishit one and it's going, it also has like top spin, but a little curveball spin.
Exactly.
And like it's got a homing signal inside of it and it goes to the corner. It's just probably a bit much.
That's why I stopped playing with the Power Airs, simply because like 3 weeks, that's a fantastic paddle for 3 weeks. But at $250 for that paddle, I can't replace it. I mean, the sweet spot gets smaller and smaller to the point where resets become so impossible.
Really?
To consistently get back over. And it drives me nuts. And the black one behind you, Danny, if you feel it, all the grit is gone. The one up above it.
And how long did that take?
That guy.
About
There's no grit on it. No, like 3-4 weeks. And the grit's gone.
And like you said, you're spending all that money for that.
Yeah.
So.
Like just a side note, paddle nerd. This 6-0 Ruby is the absolute fire. It's a Kevlar face, so they're putting Kevlar on it now. Bulletproof stuff.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And the grit stays. It's so consistent. The sweet spot is huge. I am just an absolute
What price point is that?
It's $199.
Really?
Yeah, and
Wow.
and with the PB Studio code, I think you get 20% off of it too.
Wow. Well, somebody was talking about the owl. Have you heard about the owl?
Yeah,
Have you
that's
seen
so
those
gimmicky.
yet?
It's supposed to be quiet.
Yes, it's supposed to be quiet. Nobody's.
That's
I haven't
Drew
played with
Brees.
it.
Drew Brees, they're
Is
paying
it?
to
Is that
promote.
oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen one of those yet, but I'm curious to see what that's about.
So, Danny, I'm intrigued, man. I looked up your bio because I'm a geek and I want to know who's coming into my house. And
It's a reasonable thing. It's a background check.
yeah, a little background check. But based on what they said about your college, it didn't say anything about radio or communications or, you were studying to go somewhere different. How did you get into the radio world?
It's a great question. Again, I was a poli-sci major at GW in DC, and my plan was to, whenever I was done playing, was to go to law school. And now I didn't go to class for a couple of years, and my grades sucked. And so my idea was, okay, I'll go work, pay off some student loans a little bit, then eventually take the LSAT, go to law school, whatever. And as soon as I got out of school, I was like, I'm never, ever going back to school again.
Yeah.
And
Well, I just talking with you for a few minutes. I'm married to a lawyer. You're not a lawyer.
well, well, thank you. Yeah. So if you want a great conversation, tell your parents you're not going to law school after all, and you want to be a comic. That's awesome. Like, that's a great one. I recommend it to anybody, where you can see the actual dream leave their body and the look of disappointment replace it, and then it shoots you in the eyes. So yeah, I mean, that's, again, I fell in love when I got on stage, and I said, I love this. I want to pursue this passionately. And so it took me all over the place. I've done gigs for almost 20. This is my 20th year doing stand-up. And I got to a point where I was in New York, and a bunch of my buddies were kind of getting plucked out for like bigger, cooler stuff. And it sort of became apparent to me, at the time, I wasn't what they were looking for. Stocky white guy with a grievance. Like, they make a lot of me. You know what I mean? Like, I am a dime a dozen. And everybody that was doing something kind of special. I mean, it's guys now that are household names, like guys like Pete Holmes and Kumail Nanjiani and John Mulaney and Hannibal Buress. And I don't know if any of these names mean anything to you guys, but they're stars. Like I did shows with Nate Bargatze, who just hosted Saturday Night Live. You know? And every one of those guys had kind of this unique angle, or were different. They're also great, super talented. I'm not doing a thing where it's like, diversity. I'm not doing that. It's they were different, and I was like, I'm not that different.
Yeah.
And so there was this sort of the artistry of it. Like, there was this romanticism to going to 5, 6, 7, 8 shows a week and grinding and taking the subway and doing multiple spots per night, and that's all well and good. But when you're down there grinding, I had a girlfriend, then fiance, now wife. And it's like, I got to either be an adult, or I'll look up and I'll be 55 and I'll need to drive 10 hours to the next Tuesday night at a Bennigan's in Sheboygan. And I'm like,
Wow.
I don't know if I want to do that, for the rest of my days. So long and short, I did a gig in Indianapolis at Morty's Comedy Joint, right? Which is one of the 10 greatest clubs in Indianapolis. And, thank you for getting that, Jimmy.
Wait, here.
No, there's no ladder. It's too late. You missed your cue on the last track.
Dun-dun-dun.
You missed your shot. And one of the things you do a lot of times as a comic in a road city is you'll go on local radio to promote it. And I've done that a few different times. Well, I went on the Bob and Tom show. I don't know if you guys have a file, but their sort of claim to fame, they're nationally syndicated. They would beat Howard Stern in these mid to small tier markets. Right?
Wow.
Like, so big city,
Was
it's
it
like
shock jockish type stuff?
Kinda. I mean, they figured out like a handful of years ago. I mean, this is now decades. The best thing to do, they hate each other, by the way, which is a nice little insider bit. They don't talk during commercial breaks. They basically have comics on the show all the time. And they're like, so I understand you're half Irish and half French. What's that like? And then they let the comic go and have and do the show.
Yeah.
And so what usually happens is they'll, locally they'll promote, hey, he's at Morty's Comedy Joint this weekend, whatever, with this guy. And usually they'll have you in for a segment, maybe 2. Well, I would tell you if it was different. I destroyed in there. I crushed. So I went through all the pre-prepared stuff that they had for me, right? And I've had all the co-hosts and the different gallery. I had them dying laughing, doing some impressions, did a bunch of different stuff. And so they let me stay for almost 2 hours.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Which is not normal at
It's
all.
only like a 30-minute skit or something.
It's
like
usually
that, right?
like 2 segments. They'll do it max. And the producer just kind of comes in and gently taps you and goes, thanks so much for coming by. Here's a T-shirt. And take a photo with the guys and then get them out of here. But I ripped. It was awesome. And I was like, when I got back to New York, I was like, I had more fun doing that than I did the shows at this whatever club, Right. And I was telling a buddy about that. And it turns out that buddy at the time was the director of PR for the Knicks.
Oh, wow.
Right? Guy I'd grown up and gone to high school with. Unbeknownst to me, the next day, he's in a meeting with James Dolan, the owner of the Knicks.
Yeah.
Donnie Walsh was the GM at the time. This is how long ago this was. The president of Sirius XM and the program director of the Shade 45 channel, which is Eminem's station.
Channel.
Yeah, exactly right.
Sure. Yeah.
And so they're talking about giving Nate Robinson, former dunk contest champion,
like 5'8".
It's a fascinating story because he's a really interesting guy.
Yeah,
he got D1 offers everywhere to play football.
He's a football player too. He's a running back.
Yeah, and he was like, I want to play basketball too. And they're like, you're out of your mind. You could be in the NFL as a corner, kick returner, or whatever. And he's like, no, I want to do both. University of Washington says you could do both. That's right. And so he was all Pac-10 as a kick returner, cornerback, etc. But said, no, I'm a basketball player. Went in the first round. Amazing career, right? So they want to give him a show. And so they're hemming and hawing about it. And they go, well, he needs a co-host. Who could do it? My buddy Nick looks up from his BlackBerry. That's how long ago this was. And goes, my buddy Danny could do it because I just told him the day before.
Wow. That's
about
amazing.
Being on the radio.
Wow.
Now, that's not radio experience. That's being a guest one time.
Right.
But they don't know the difference. So from that meeting, I get a phone call. Do you want to do a show with Nate Robinson? Yes. Wow. Sight unseen, like act as if, right? Wow. So I get this show on Sirius XM once a week. Very hip hop, as you can see. Like,
of course,
preppy
white.
Did you pop your collar when you went in?
It was
your polos.
I knew right away that like when we played which one of these is not like the other, and like someone doesn't belong. If anyone could figure out who, it was me. And I knew the show sucked, but I was getting good demo from it, you know, where I'm doing the ins and outs. I'm kind of proving I can do some radio while on the radio. It's one thing to prove you can do radio while you're, no offense, you're in a basement, right? Or doing your own podcast or like, you know, yelling into your Mac. But like I'm on Sirius XM.
Right.
And I'd been begging and pleading and hoping with the program director back here in DC where I'm from, let me on Sunday morning at 5 a.m. or I'll come in and I'll vacuum the floors if you give me 10 minutes. Whatever. Right. No response, didn't care. Well, as soon as that happened, all of a sudden I became a little sexier.
You just needed somebody to take a chance on you.
Yeah. So it's at that point, then at the exact same time, again, this is a lot about, man, I'm loving this. I'm having a great time. I love you guys are. So that's happening. And then I'm doing these before YouTube was flooded with guys like yelling, let's go, about like some prank. It was kind of an empty Wild West sort of thing. I was putting up these weekly then Redskins fan videos about how pissed off and how sad I am, whatever. Like not that creative, but it was something I was doing every week, right?
Mostly pissed off.
Yeah. And so that one of the ones I did that went really viral. So the smaller ones would get about 100,000 views, which for a niche thing is pretty big.
Yeah.
The big ones would be hundreds of thousands. So the biggest one I did was called Redskins Anonymous. And that got to the morning show, the Sports Junkies.
Yeah.
Right here on 106.7 The Fan. And usually, like, if they played something like that, they would just dump on it and be like, this guy's a clown, he's nubs, whatever, and make fun. Right. Well, they were pumping it up. And so my phone that morning in New York is like, dude, they're playing your video. And so just a total Hail Mary. I find the producer at the time, a guy named Brett, his email. And I'm like, hey, you played my video on the air.
Yeah.
I'm open to come by.
I'll send you a couple of blondes, Brett.
Yeah. Like pretending that I'm not so beyond desperate. He's like, yeah, why don't you come in the last segment the day before Thanksgiving when like they're 90% out the door. They don't want to do anything. And so again, I went in there and I did some impressions. I think I did like John Gruden, like Shannon Sharp and a couple other guys. And I'm getting laughs and it's going well. And so all of a sudden from two fronts, I've now kind of gotten my fat face and, attention-seeking body in front of the program director, who I've already been like peppering with emails and begging and whatever else. And so he's like, hey, after that spot, do you want to come in and be a nighttime, part-time, fill-in co-host? Yes, is the answer.
You got to go in somewhere, though.
It's always yes. It's always yes.
Yes, you got to answer yes.
For almost 2 years, I would take the bus from New York down to DC on days that I had shows.
Holy cow! Yeah.
So like I took the Mega Bus, the Bolt Bus, all the different Chinatown buses that would like get in trouble and then just change their name.
So they're not even paying for you a train ticket down.
No, nothing like that.
So you're doing it on your own dime.
Oh yeah.
And then how many days a week would this be? You don't know. Would you find out 24 hours ahead of time?
Exactly. So it's like I would try to guess when on days where it's like, okay, the Wizards play. We had the Wizards games at the time, so I'm not going to do Tuesday, but they might have me do Wednesday and Thursday. So I would, buy in advance a bus ticket, which is cheaper if you're doing it 2-3 weeks in advance. And sometimes I was wrong. I'd just be home at my parents' house with nothing to do. And my then fiance and now wife is just in New York working because I had no guarantees. Then eventually I got the night show. It's kind of like being in AAA, which is a great way to kind of work out,
sure.
get your skills,
Absolutely.
like plan a show, do all that kind of stuff. Then got bumped up to middays in 2011.
So at this point, Danny, was your dad and mom just a little bit proud that you were making inroads, or are they still terrified for your future?
That one. So he's chosen stand-up and radio.
Well, so let me ask you, what will you make in a stand-up? So when you went on the stage, what would they pay you? Is it $50 a night?
Oh, it depends.
What would you get?
I mean, it depends on your gig. So you can do private gigs, which are soul killing.
Okay.
But the money's wonderful. So you just do that.
Okay.
You just take the kick and the huevos. But like if you're at a club, it's, $150 a set or something else.
And how long was the set? 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes? What would it be?
It all depends. So like
what
if I'm
they
doing a
wanted.
headline set, 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
It's kind of a feature act. If you go to the Improv, for example, DC Improv.
Yeah.
Your feature will do 20 to 25 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt the story.
It's okay.
I'm
No,
curious.
I'm happy to answer. Because again, it's indirectly about me. So, where was I? Oh yeah. So yeah, then I started doing middays in 2011. Got paired with my current co-host Grant Paulson.
Yep.
We've been doing the show together since January 6th, 2014. The only significant event in DC history on January 6th.
He was a sideline reporter before for the Redskins, right?
No, so he was our station beat reporter.
Oh, there you go, beat reporter. Yeah. There you go.
But like as a prodigy, been on the radio already for 7-8 years. He's been on Sirius XM.
And is he our age? I've never seen him.
He's
I've only
in
heard
his
him.
mid-30s.
Okay, so a little younger.
young.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, he was on David Letterman as a kid.
Yeah.
He used to do this, it's this kind of like sports wonderkind. Did these like local paper articles, and then he would go on with, on television.
Okay.
And like do like the kids picks this weekend. He's like, give me the 49ers to cover over the Bengals this week, whatever.
way.
As like a little kid with a bowl cut.
That's great.
Yeah.
And Letterman saw it, and the Letterman people like had him up on the show a couple
Was he
different
from
times.
DC also?
He's from King George. This area. Yeah.
Okay.
So we started doing the show in 2014 and just celebrated our 10-year anniversary this past weekend.
That's it. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. We moved Afternoon Drive at the end of at the beginning of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna bring this back into the pickleball world, so you've fallen in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
You're out. You're playing. You're whipping the shit out of everybody that you're currently playing with.
Yeah, he's good.
And then how do you meet up with Jimmy Brown?
Great question. So I, my schedule's weird. I go in like at 12:30, 1 o'clock to get ready to go work in the afternoon. So I'm free in the morning. So I'm always like begging my producer or like, dads to play hooky or we can play singles and just like trying to find a way to just to get some run in.
Yep.
And I meet just through these like, which I'm finding out these pickleball circles are incredible.
It's unbelievable.
But a dude named Jeff Vollmer, who I think you guys know, and
Great.
Jeff is
Hefe, man. Phenomenal.
nasty,
Oh,
by the
great.
way.
The
If you know,
genius.
if you know Jeff, he's beating your ass. In
There's no
pickleball.
doubt. There's no doubt.
That dude's
Phenomenal.
ridiculous.
Phenomenal.
So I met Jeff, and a couple different times he's able to like convince some guys to come play during work hours. Like, find some guys who could do that.
He could do it. He could do
it. So then I meet Alex Pachano and a couple other guys, and he's like, "Hey, we're going to get a group together on a Friday morning," and I'm like, "That's music to my ears. That's when I can play."
Yep.
And then meet Jimmy and a couple other guys, and we kind of have I don't say a standing
I think
Friday
it's standing.
game.
Oh, it's a standing game.
Okay.
Friday night.
Standing game Friday.
That's what I was telling you. Oh, yeah, standing. 10 o'clock to 11:30.
I love
That's it. Standing game.
Which
Yes.
is great.
That's
And
it.
so I'm tired at about 10:15 or
That is
so.
not, don't let him say that.
And
That's
then
not
it
true.
turns bad.
No, that's not true.
You should have seen after you left the other day, by the way, just a quick
What
side.
was the score? Yeah, did you
A
guys
lot to
finish?
not. That's what happened.
Look, Alex is pretty good, though.
Well,
Alex is good.
Alex is nasty,
good,
but
yeah.
usually, like, he and I are semi-competitive in singles.
Right,
Like,
right.
he'd win 6, 7 out of 10 probably most of the time, which I'm
Okay.
fine with just getting going. But at the end, I'm like, I'd like to be able to get that ball. My body's not responding.
That's where I
not
was
gonna
last night.
Well,
the legs are gone.
And I told him there are 3 or 4 shots where I go, he's going to hit it right there. And I move over. I anticipate it. I'm taking steps, and I missed it by this much. And I went, I'm not in shape.
We've all been there. Don't
I'm
worry
not
about
in
that.
shape.
We've all been there.
So you go from probably guys that are like 3-0, 3-5 to stepping up to a group with Jimmy, which Jimmy's like a 4-5.
I'd say 4-5,
A solid
yeah,
4-5.
4-5.
Vollmer's pretty close to a 5-0.
5-0, absolutely, yeah.
And then I don't know. I don't think I played with Alex that much.
He's I'd say 4-5. Yeah, he's
Okay.
right there.
Yeah, you guys know better than I would. I mean, he's filthy.
And then
Yeah.
and Wardian, we played with Michael Wardian.
Okay.
And then we played this week
That guy's
with
just a freak.
He's a freak of nature.
We love him.
He's
You know,
unbelievable.
he's in decent shape. Have you guys seen his?
Not bad shape.
You know, I can hang with him for about 3.5 steps.
You mean of the marathon or the 24-hour rowathon that he does?
All of the above.
All the above.
That guy.
Well, isn't he in Antarctica right now?
He was. Yeah, that's why he missed
He
last
ran there.
week.
He ran there. A lot of people don't know that.
That's right. He ran there. That's right. Well, yeah, because then we had a fill-in. We had my mixed doubles partner come in, Teresa, who was a pro squash player.
Okay.
So we had a solid little group there last Friday.
So after going from the lower level groups to popping up to the higher level groups, what changes need to happen in your game, or what's different about the game?
What you notice really quickly is that what passed as mistakes playing against other dads and guys that are recreational, you don't get punished for it. Mm-hmm. So now the spectrum of what a mistake is. In other words, let's say we're at the net, we're dinking, I want to go across. If I leave it out there so it's not going to bounce, he puts it away. Mm-hmm. And it's like you can now sense it where you're going, oh crap. As soon as it comes off your paddle and you know he can reach it and does that little windshield wipe volley, you just got your partner tagged.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas if I'm playing against like Steve, you know, no offense to Steve, but like that might or might not be he's barely able to get it back over and he's like focused on what he's going to do. So it's tightening those kind of things up, I think. B, at the same time, I find myself all the time trying to be too fine and too perfect.
Okay.
Right. Where I'm going, if I'm in a rally and I'm opposite Jimmy, for example, I better hit the most perfect shot you can hit. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, the longer we do this, the worse it is going to be for me.
Correct.
Right. Because he's better than I am. So it's like this weird push and pull at that point where it's just
I
like,
get that.
Yeah, I think it's just about having enough experience. I'm now to the point where I can go, as soon as it leaves the paddle, I can know, okay, we're still in this point, or, oh crap, I just gave him something.
Yeah.
Right. And it's those kind of tightening up sort of things that you can get away with against lower level players that you just can't against guys like Jimmy, Jeff, and company.
Now, are you still wailing away from the baseline, hitting lots of drives, or you getting into the drop game?
My drops are inconsistent.
Okay.
And I think that's a huge thing for me.
But I think they've gotten a lot better. Even since we've played the last month, I think it's gotten significantly better.
It has, but it's not consistent enough, right?
Yeah.
But it's better than it was. It do be sound like one's more than zero. But yeah, I mean, for me, that has kind of come naturally. Having some of the drives and having the ability to put some top spin on it.
His drives are nasty now.
Yeah.
He's wailed past a number of players when we've played on Fridays.
Well, do you have the old Ben Johns paddle, or you have the new one? The Hyperion, or do you have the Perseus?
Hyperion, I think.
Okay,
I think I got the old one.
When you get the Perseus, you'll add another like 10% to your drives.
Hell yeah.
They're just poppier. And so you want to go that direction.
So I'll check that out of bounds line just to make sure that it's regulation. Just by
That's
airmail on it a dozen
just
times.
airmail.
That's my specialty, bro.
Dude, you play with that gearbox, any backhand that you hit, it's just
it's unbelievable.
it's gone. The only guy that can play with it well at this point is Pickles.
Oh, that's it.
And no, there's a guy named Coy, Asian guy.
Really?
Who's playing lights out with
Solid
it.
too?
Yeah.
Dinks and resets and everything.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, talk about leaving it high and getting punished with this new gearbox paddle. You leave it high and you're eating it.
Oh,
and it's coming off the paddle 80 miles an hour.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and it's all because of the construction. They made that paddle different, where it's got like tubes going down the
grip,
center,
right? It's just tubes. Yeah,
it's tubes, and I think the tubes compress and create that trampoline.
Yes, it's like
effect.
a trampoline. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So, have you tried to play Paul in singles with that thing?
No, I've played Paul twice in singles. He beat me 11-2, 11-3. It was demoralizing.
Level. But I tell you what, though, you know who played well too? Just to give a shout out real quick to Jeff Vollmer. We were talking about him earlier. It played in his first singles tournament and won it, and he's a beast. And then so did Ryan Kane. Ryan Kane's only played in 2 singles tournaments. Bronze and open. And lost to McNally 15, like it was like 15,
Did you watch
13.
that match?
Oh, I was right there. Yeah.
If you haven't gone on, just promote my boys' show. If you haven't gone on Fourth Shot Pickleball.
Phenomenal.
Look up that match. The cat and mouse of that match.
It's unbelievable.
They had 10, 12, 15 shot rallies in singles.
It was great. No, it was like literally like watching 2 pros there. And then Ryan has only played again in 2 singles tournaments. That's it. And for him to finish third, he's gonna be a beast. He's gonna be a beast.
So bringing it back to 106.7 The Fan, one of my favorite radio stations. I know EB talks about pickleball. Do any of the other guys play in there?
Yeah, Cakes does as well. Okay. And a couple guys are more casual. JP Finley from B. Mitch and Finley has played some. But it was funny. The Junks did a pickleball open. That's where I met Jeff.
Yeah.
They did a pickleball open, and I was so excited about it. I was so pumped up. I was playing a bunch during the week, whoever I could play with. and I pulled my groin trying to kick a worm off the court. So again, just let you know the caliber of athlete, the finely tuned machine that you're dealing with here. I'm so gross. My wife is so lucky. Hi, honey. But so I couldn't play in it. But like, so I'm walking around like it's almost like, I would have been good here. Would have been fun. But it's like watching some of the high level guys. It was eye opening, right? Watching some of these dudes and gals who were so competitive and so good. But it was funny because like a couple of the junks have no interest in pickleball. Like I'd never played it before, and they're like, "Is this a good paddle?"
Like,
I'm like,
I can see Lurch just standing back and just like making fun of everybody for it.
Pretty much his MO, honestly, But like EB's good, and Cakes is pretty good too. So it was fun watching.
Well, you
those
should
guys
just give Lurch odds, and he can bet on you guys, and then it'll be entertaining for him.
You'd be happy about it, yeah. But it was funny. I mean, for JP from the Junks. We have so many JPs on the station. JP from the Junks was like, "You pulled your groin, you could still play." I was like, "Dude, you don't understand. You don't understand this thing. Even though it doubles, you still got to move some."
Yes, that's right. Jimmy, you got anything you want to talk?
What? Okay,
to Danny about?
so GW is where you played baseball at.
Yep.
What position did you play?
In high school, it was a shortstop, like everybody was. College, played third base, left field, a little bit of first too. Just it was all sort of dependent. I mean,
what years were you there?
So I was there. My seasons were 98 through 01.
You don't know a guy named Mike Toomey, do you? Do you know the name?
I know the name. Yeah,
he was instrumental in the GW program many moons ago. Yeah, and him and my dad go back way.
Oh, is that
back.
right?
Yeah, He was. I think his father was the coach at Maryland when my dad was playing football there.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, I think it was Frank Toomey. Anyway, I digress. Sorry, but
no, that's all right.
So you played there. How'd the career go?
So I sound like a dickhead.
No, I'm curious.
No, I'm going to answer you. Yeah. I got inducted into the GW Athletic Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow.
Last year.
Oh, wow.
Which was really cool.
That wasn't even a setup. Neither one of us knew.
So that's winning.
Thanks for doing that.
Yes.
It just happened. They asked me about it.
No, actually,
I told them to.
He demanded before. He's like, ask me about baseball.
And specifically say Hall of Fame? No, I did, which is why I had a nice career. It was one of those things where the recruiting process was fascinating because coming out of high school, I wasn't quite big enough to be big or fast enough to be fast. Okay. So, the Clemsons, the Florida States, the SEC teams weren't calling, but there were a lot of good programs, like around here, there was some really good ball everywhere from, Richmond to VCU to, William and Mary had some good runs, UVA, where I really wanted to go. Okay. So my senior year, that spring, high school, UVA had been kind of the bottom of the ACC, which sounds funny to think about now because they're so good.
No, that's right.
But the head coach had been there for like 100 years, and they got hot and won the ACC tournament with a guy named Seth Greisinger, went to McLean High School. Okay. Javi Lopez, who pitched in the major leagues for like 15 years, a sidewinding lefty, looks like an octopus walking on land, He went to Robinson, and a bunch of guys from Northern Virginia, and I was like, I know all these guys. Like, I played with a bunch of them or whatever. Right. And that's where I wanted to go. Had my heart set on going to UVA. And that recruiting process was just so disappointing, where now this coach who thought, oh, this is who we are. We're not the doormat of the ACC, which we've been for 20 years. Elite. Now we're great. And it's like, not really. You got hot. And it was awesome.
No, that's right.
That's the end.
That's right.
And so my recruiting trip, he was basically like, Danny, we think by the time you're a junior, you can play falls. I was like, what kind of horse? Do we curse on this one? Or no?
Go nuts.
What kind of horse shit is this? It's the worst recruiting trip ever. The assistant coach was the coolest guy in the world and made me feel like he's right. I am great. But the head coach, I had to look at a piece of paper to figure out what my name was, whatever. And it was such a pain in the butt. Heartbroken. And so I go listen to all the older guys that I'd played with, who'd come back from school like, God, I hate my coach. You guys are the worst. I hate him. Right. So I'm going, I better go somewhere where I like the coach.
Absolutely.
Now, that's a horseshit reason to pick a school, by the way.
Right. Oh, overall, absolutely.
But that was in my dumb mind. So I'm like, well, and so a guy named Tom Walter, I was part of his first recruiting class at GW. And what he said was, we'll give you a chance to play all 4 years. Wow. We're going to give you a chance to play. We're not going to guarantee you a spot, guarantee you a starting job, but we'll give you a chance. I was like, that's all I ever wanted to hear. Now,
where were they in the pantheon of things at times?
So first, I'll get to that. So at first, I was like, I had no interest in a school in DC that wasn't Georgetown.
Right.
I was going to take visits to William and Mary, to Richmond, to Davidson, North Carolina, JMU, and JMU wasn't interested in me, by the way. Neither was George Mason. So I was like, okay, well, I like this idea, like this concept, and all of a sudden, as I was going through this recruiting process, that promise became intoxicating.
Right.
Because I go, I want to be a pro. Right. There's a great chance I'm not. Statistically, you're not a pro.
Statistically, that's
right.
correct.
Yeah.
So I go, at a minimum, I want 4 years of games. I have, give or take 240 games left to play that matter in my life.
Right.
So, you do 4 at bats. I got less than 1,000 at bats for this drug that I'm ever going to be able to take.
Right.
Wow.
With all due respect to the rec softball that I've played and any other sport, you'll never recreate that.
That's right.
I want every one of those meals, drugs, whatever you want to call
That's
it.
right.
So that kind of became what governed my decision. So we had the 3rd biggest record turnaround in Division I from my senior year of high school. Then my freshman year, they were, what was it? So 23-38. Then the next year we were 38-23.
Wow.
Right. And part of my whole freshman class was ballers. I was one of the least heralded guys out of that class.
What was he able to do?
He was a young guy, energetic.
No, because let me ask you this, because the facility is not great, though.
No,
right?
it's not.
It's not. You're down at Barcroft, right? And they
Exactly
just redid the facility. That's literally right by my house.
Right.
So it was a junk heap before, though, right?
It was a trash
Would you
pile.
bus there every day?
Every day.
Every day you would bus to the field. So it's like 15, 20 minutes. And then there was no locker room.
No,
Right.
The locker room was at the Smith Center at GW.
So you get dressed there,
And then
you'd
go
bus over, and then you'd play and then come back, or practice and come back.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like on everybody else's recruiting trip, you see the field. You don't.
They didn't bring it to the field. No
it's
way.
like what the Redskins had to do for years, where it's
Oh,
like
wow.
the facility. Let's go to the steakhouse. Let's go there. We'll come by to the facility at night. That's what they were doing because the facility stinks. And so I was promised, by the way, because I'm from here, so I know
Right.
you'll never play a game at Barcroft. Your freshman fall, you'll play there.
Wow.
But we have a new stadium at Francis
That's what they kept
Field.
saying.
Yeah, 24th and M in DC, a couple blocks north of the campus.
That's what they said.
That's what they told me because
Okay.
that was the plan. That was
Right.
going to happen. And so there was an ANC hearing. I'll never forget this. I went, right? By the way, riveting stuff. But the ANC, little neighborhood commission there in DC, where they go, okay, the next item up for discussion. George Washington University baseball, a new field here at Francis Field. It's a multi-purpose facility, blah, blah, blah. The community use, blah, blah, whatever the rules are. And so the ANC commissioner goes, all right, who's here? So the head coach is there,
Okay.
right? The big donor, who's I don't say famous, but he was second place to get the Nationals, like a guy that was a GW baseball guy, and a couple other folks. And so they go, okay, where's the AD? He's not there. Where's the president of the school? He's not there. So how are we supposed to take this seriously?
Wow.
And there was no support from the school, which would end up being kind of a theme.
Oh, wow.
So it's dead on arrival. It never happened. I played all 4 years at Barcroft. But yeah, so that guy, the head coach, so we set the school record for wins 2 or 3 times in my
With
4
no
years.
facilities. That's amazing.
With the subpar facility.
Right.
And he kept turning and asking, okay, do you support us now? Do you support us now? Look at what we're doing.
Right. With nothing.
With nothing.
Right.
The recruiting class after me had a couple guys that were, top 10 round draft picks,
Right.
a couple big leaguers out of that
how
group.
many? It's because I know I was playing baseball myself. How many scholarships were they able to?
Yeah, fully funded. Yeah.
Okay, so fully funded. So any bonus babies were on the team at the time, or were you starting to get those guys?
Starting to get them.
Okay, so he was building that program with
Absolutely.
no facilities or anything like
With
that.
nothing.
Yeah,
And, couldn't get administrative support. The old AD was a horse's ass, who I still hate to this day, who kind of wouldn't support the team, And so eventually he said, screw it, I'm leaving. And he went to University of New Orleans
Oh wow.
during Katrina, basically. Got them to a tournament without a facility because it got washed away. They were playing all their home games an hour away or whatever. Then he went to a little school called Wake Forest, and he's the head coach of Wake Forest. And they were out away from the College World Series basically this year.
Wow. Oh my
But
God.
just a dynamo of a coach, a great dude.
So as you were talking about that, something that you said was, I only have 1,000 at bats. I only get this adrenaline. I only get this juice. And I understand that because I think a lot of people that play pickleball love it because all of a sudden our 43-year-old dad bod can go out and compete again.
That's right.
Right. And
juices.
so I always like to ask, what are your goals for this year? Like pickleball wise, do you see yourself being a tournament player? Are you going to have a lot of fun? There's really 3 types of pickleball players, but kind of where are you at in it?
Great question. I know right now that my number one focus is getting better.
Okay.
Right. And that's my drug. That's like, so the real competitive stuff I'll never get again. Right. That you can never recreate that no matter what you're doing. It's like now you're kind of seeing your kids grow up and thrive. And that's awesome. It's an unbelievable gift, but it's like, I can't make that for me. So kind of my next best thing is I love that mold of clay that's going to turn into a sculpture. Like I love the fact that I couldn't do something 6 months ago that I can do now in terms of being able to play on the court or anticipating things. And that experience that's what I'm after. Where that goes, I don't know. You know, I mean, again, now it's like I'm on this, that pickle chat, right? In the WhatsApp group or whatever.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm betraying confidence. I'm not supposed to mention.
That's good. It's a good group.
And it's like, is anyone playing today? And then there's like 9 memes. And then like there's a picture
Paul,
like
Paul put his food up there.
And then there's like a picture of Jimmy at his tournament in like Sheboygan or something. And I'm like, when was that? Like,
Getting beat again.
Like, I don't know. I don't know how do people find out about it. And so like I know that like I wouldn't be able to make a bunch of those things right now, you know, because again, I'm coaching my 10-year-old's basketball team and my 5-year-old's just picked up lacrosse and he plays baseball and basketball and soccer. So like I would never be able to do some of those things in the moment, but like when they get a little older, maybe that's something I could do. So now it's not I don't have a tangible goal other than I want to not ruin the game. Like when we're playing, I want to not sandbag and not make it so that whoever has me as their partner is going to lose every time. I'd like to make it more competitive more often. Once we get there, we could sort of bite off the next thing.
Nice. So you just got to grab Jimmy on some of those Friday mornings or another morning and drill for an hour, even though it's like so boring, but I can give you games that make it fun.
You know, and that's the funny thing is, and this is what, because obviously just all of us being athletes, the best way to get better
I don't consider
drill.
myself an athlete.
Oh, you definitely, no doubt, definitely are.
We play pickleball.
But no, the best way obviously is to drill, and everybody talks about that, right? But if you only have a finite amount of time, do you want to drill or do you want to play? And that's where the yin and the yang comes in with it. If I've got an hour and a half, you know, it'd be great to drill for 45 minutes, but I want to play.
Well, my thing is like, let's say your dinks, you're just floating too many of them. You're getting your partner worked. Like go out for an hour, and in an hour, if you drill dinks, you'll hit 1,000 dinks. Versus in a game, you'll hit maybe 50 to 60 because who knows, at this point in the game, everybody wants to hit it hard and speed up.
You know what? And this is the funny thing, though. My backhand, like we talked about before, is terrible. But, you know, you can incorporate that into the game. You know, so if you're out there, I tried a lot of times, I'll just hit with my backhand. And I'll tell my partner ahead of time, like we were talking about on Friday, say, look, Danny, I'm working on some stuff here. If I get you lit up, I'm sorry about that. And I probably did about 10 times. But it's just, it's things, if I don't have time to drill, I need to work on in the game situation, where especially when there's pressure, especially when it's 10-9 and you're serving. This is where you can't recreate that stuff, right, in practice. So I get what everybody's saying with the drilling. I understand. It's just if I have a finite amount of time, I'd rather play and maybe work on some of that stuff in game where it's going to be a little more pressure filled.
Yes, I would love to be able to go. I got 5 mornings a week or, 20 hours a week. And because I love it. I love getting better.
Right.
That's one of my themes.
Right.
But to Jimmy's point, it's like, if I can't find another human body or I can't find another group, it's like I can play. And that gives me kind of that joy to be able to get better in game. But you're 100% right. Like there's no substitute for that work.
Yeah.
Where you're 10,000 hours to mastery, you're Malcolm Gladwell style. But doing some of that stuff in game where I go 2 weeks ago, because I'm a weirdo about remembering points and at bats and different things. It's now to the point where I don't remember every at bat I ever had, but that's only within the last couple of years.
Okay,
right? Like that's just the way I'm made.
That's
Like
right.
I'll remember where I left I was trying to hit a ball between the opponents, right, where I thought I had something,
right,
and I didn't. Alex anticipated, and I got Jimmy lit up. I remember that vividly. And then Friday when we played, I had a similar opportunity. Didn't take it, hit a different shot, and the point went on. But I have that filed away in my computer where I go, here we go. Like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff, I can sense, I can see the improvement. It's not as tangible, though, maybe is what you're talking about. No,
and I think that's, most of us get better that way. I would say there's only a handful of guys that are going to go out and drill on a regular basis. And I've been playing for 3 years. I've probably drilled 10 times.
Right.
Even I went out and bought a hopper and I was like, I'm going to be a drill guy. I have 100 balls. But you're right. Finding the guy that wants to do it is tough. And then the other thing is just not as much fun.
No.
So I really appreciate you coming out, Danny.
Oh,
this has been a whole lot of fun.
That's
and
it?
because no, we're not done yet. Because you're a real radio guy and you're sitting in my basement on our fun podcast. All right. I prepared a fun radio game for us to close out. All right. And this fun radio game is called How Much of a Pickleball Geek is Danny.
Uh-oh. I'm not good at quizzes. I'm not good on the spot.
You win the GW. I'm sure you're going to be solid. You'll be all right. You'll be good.
All right. So I've prepared 5 or 6 questions. Let's see how he does.
This is great. This is great. This is great.
All
Is
right.
it though? Is it? Okay.
So Danny, can you name
Nope.
5 active male pro players?
Ben Johns, Tyson McGuffin. So no, I got 2.
You got 2? The
Top of my head.
The 2 most popular.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely seen other guys, but it's recalling the moment. Jeff Fulmer and Jimmy Brown. No, I can't.
I need a bang. I don't have one of those.
Buzzer.
Yeah. Okay. This one might be, this one's going to be impossible then for you.
Good. I'm going to take my pants off while we do it. Full embarrassment.
What female is known for her shit line calls in the Pro Tour?
My wife? No. I'm sorry, what?
All right, Jimmy, what female is known for her shit line calls? Let's see if you can come on the same.
Hold on. Did she just stop playing singles?
No, but she hates the one who stopped playing singles recently. Hates this one.
It's not Annalie Waters, is it?
No.
No.
Her name is Salome Davidze.
I did not know that.
Oh my God, she's absolutely in it. She calls it's 3 feet in, and she's like, "Ow!"
Well, hold on. So obviously they're reffed. Every match is reffed, right?
Yep.
So what? No, it's not. Or
No, they are ref.
So what do the refs say? Do they have the?
I didn't see it. What I'm looking at the kitchen line. I mean, what does a ref say, right?
God, that they get paid. That's right, and that's out all the time.
I'm looking at the kitchen line.
God.
I didn't see it.
So do the people? So the women on tour just must.
They can't stand her.
So she probably can't find a partner either that wants to play with her either.
I don't know if I've ever seen her in a doubles tournament.
She's just singles,
And she crushes singles, but mostly because she calls end balls
she
out.
calls in balls
Yeah,
out.
she cuts off 15% of the court. Sounds like.
Hey, that's right. That's right.
All right, let's go to the next.
I'm going to start using that on Friday, by the way. That's a good strategy. That'll help me. That shit was out, bro.
Hey, yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right, who runs the PPA Tour?
Carvana?
That's a sponsor. That's close. It rhymes with Schmanner Pardo. Connor Pardo.
Oh, I don't know that.
Okay.
So not very. I guess the answer's not that much of a
Not
geek.
that geek. All right, we got a couple more. Right now, we're just bombing on this.
Great radio game, dude.
This one, you're gonna get this one. Who's the most electrifying man in sport?
Tyson McGuffin?
Nailed it.
There it is.
According to Barstool Sports.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Now, how did he end up getting that nickname? What was the deal behind that?
This was around the time where he was winning and smashing a Miller Lite on the side and pouring it all over himself.
okay.
And he's got the mullet and the tattoos.
He had a
a
Molotov
motherfucker.
cocktail going.
It
Yeah.
was pretty solid.
Well, it's one of those things where it all depends. Like, if you declare it,
That's right.
like, think of The Rock.
That's
He
right.
declared
That's
himself
right.
the most electrifying
The
man in sports entertainment today. And
That's
everyone kind of
right.
went,
Could
okay,
be.
all right.
That's
How about
right.
that?
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, this is the greatest podcast that's ever been put on the internet.
There it is.
Hey, yo.
We're manifesting.
All right, here's a tough one, but we're going to ask it
good.
anyway.
Good.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right, what teams are extra close on and off the court, if you know what I mean?
You mean like sex stuff?
Yeah.
I got this one. Oh, I think I got this one.
I'll pass.
I got
Go
this
ahead.
one.
There are 3 couples that I can think of on the tour.
Well, I know one for sure. Ignatowicz and Anna Bright.
Yes,
For
we love them.
Yes,
That's my favorite.
Shout out to Anna Bright. Came to our thing last year.
All right,
She
what's
was
the old
phenomenal.
school couple, though? The old guys like us.
Who would that be?
Who's the best 43, 44-year-old on tour?
Wow, I mean, it's Simone Jargine,
No,
right?
she's way older than that.
Is she older than that?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
So who's the best 40? It's Matt Wright and
I don't know.
Lucy Kovalova. You don't watch it
Hold
either.
on. No, hold on. You know
Jimmy.
what though? You know what though? That makes sense. That makes sense. We were at the event in Maryland.
Yeah.
That you could see behind the stage. And there they were hanging out.
Jimmy,
But you're
I'm
really
taking
disappointed, aren't you?
0.25 off your
I don't
duper
blame
right
you.
now,
Maybe
man.
three,
You're like,
maybe
wow.
3.
And then the third couple I was thinking of is what I would consider the hottest couple in pickleball. Young and good looking. That's Paris Todd.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And Hunter, I want to say Hunter Yates Johnson. Yates Johnson is his twin brother.
Okay.
They're identical twins.
Her following on Instagram's big time though, right?
Yes, because
she's
she was a model in
fashion. Oh, is
fashion
that what
before
she was?
she came to pickleball.
I didn't know she was a model.
Yeah.
Is that right? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
I have a
now.
similar following. Modeling before radio.
All right. What brother and sister play mixed doubles together? Bang.
Yeah, no idea. Sorry, I ruined your
Jimmy?
game, bro.
JW in Georgia.
Thank God
There
you
go.
knew
Got
it this
that
time. I would have
one.
been so
got
mad.
it. Shout out. Hey, man, Duper's
All
going to
right.
go up a little bit more.
I didn't think that I prepped super hard questions, but obviously I'm the only geek in the room.
Well, they're hard for some. Harder for some people than others.
Oh, man.
Well, Danny, I really appreciate you putting up with this, man. This has been
My
a ton
pleasure.
of fun.
I appreciate you having me, man. This is fun.
And if you ever need a drill partner, text me. You got my number now.
I do.
And we'll get together.
Hey,
Jimmy?
the 10 o'clock club, man. Come check us out.
Yes.
DG, come on.
No doubt.
If you can. Do
And
it,
if
brother.
all of our people want to follow you, you've already got a huge following, but a couple of scraps at the end. How
Always
can they
good.
get you?
At Funny Danny on Twitter and Humorous Danny on Instagram. Some horse's ass took Funny Danny. Wherever you are, I'm going to find you. I'm not doing anything. I'm terrified of people, but that's where I'm at.
That's right. And if you've really been loving what we're doing here, like, subscribe. I know we've got a lot of people watching that haven't hit that subscribe button yet, so get her done. Help your boy out. Much love.